what's going on. If you should see me crying, would you assist in mending a heart that has been broken? Oh, it could be you and me. Well, I'm so free, never gotta worry. Oh, hello, people. It's been a long time. And we're still in this way. Never gotta worry. Oh, live on. Yes, guys. It's been a long time. It has been a long time. Long time. How is everybody doing? It's another week starting today. How is everybody doing? So I have a topic here today. I've been just taking the time to just reflect and just relax. It's been a while. Taking the time to relax. Being on vacation. Vacation is gonna be up soon, so I'm back in the grind in another week. So how is everybody doing? Thank you, Ron and Henry. Thank you. How is everybody doing? Now I realize that this is a stressful time. Alright? I realize this is a stressful time for all of us. So I've been reflecting on some of the things that we need in order to carry us through this difficult period in our lives. And one of the things that I was looking at is in terms of friendships, because so many times our friendships, our associations in life impacts whether it's negatively or positively on our lives. So I want to talk about where do we draw the line in friendships, in being too nice. And I have a little bit of points here just to guide me. I wrote them out. So I just want to say that at the end of the day, we all need some sort of friendship. And it is, I think it's important that we establish that friendship should be like a give and take process. So that when you find yourself in a situation where you are giving your all, giving, and the other person is taking, you have to draw the line at some point. Why? It's not because you are hateful. It's not because you do not have any love in your heart, but because at the end of the day, you must put yourself first. Because there is a lot of scrupulous people around. And they will use you if you allow them to use you. So you have to have a limit. And many times we feel bad because we're so nice and we just want to help. People don't even have to ask very nice people when they are in help, when they are in need, because we are nice people, are people that they look at you and they hear you. They may not even hear you speak, but they might look at you and they will just be so perceptive that they will realize that you need, and even if you don't ask them, they will give you. That's nice people. But as I grew older, I realized that this wasn't working. Being too nice doesn't work. You have to be discriminative of how nice you are to people. You have to put a limit on your niceness, to recognize when people are using you from when people are just needing genuine help. Because sometimes we do not draw those boundaries and it reaches to a point where we enable them, and also they just see us like a cornerstone. So anytime they are in trouble, then they run to us. Sometimes they don't listen. You might be encouraging them, you might be trying to help them, but they do not listen. But the minute they get in trouble, they want to run to you. So you have to be careful. And I want to say that being nice does not make people appreciate you more. it does not make the people, let me just restate this, being nice does not make the people who do not appreciate you more. So if in the first place they are in a relationship with you, whether it's a social or intimate relationship with you, and they are treating you badly, you trying to be even more nice is not gonna help the situation. And many times we tell ourselves that by doing more, but that by giving more, that they're gonna love and appreciate us. But that the thing is, they use us, because they already showed us that they do not appreciate us, and we keep giving, we keep throwing our pearls to swines. And even the Bible tells you that do not throw your pearls to swines. So you have to recognize when people are just around you for what they can get. And there are people, sometimes you are giving, and I'm not talking just about finances, because sometimes they may not be able to give you in terms of finances, but are they there when you need them? Are they there to support you, to be a shoulder to cry on in times when you need them? Are they there to hear you cry or complain when something upsets you to the point where you feel like you need a friend? Are they there? So you have to question yourself about the friends that you call friends. It's important that you do that, because if you don't do that, you will always find yourself in a situation where you are being used. All right? So I just let me just read from what I have here. So we are heading into a time when we will need a few genuine friends. So this is a period. This period is a period of reflection to see where you're at in terms of your friendships and what you're looking for in the friend, whether it's a lifetime partner or somebody who is just a simple friend, as in a social relationship. So the wrong ones, the wrong people in your life can upset your flow. The wrong people in your life can upset your flow, because while you're planning and you have a vision, they are like distractors. They're always coming with some problem, and you have your well put together life, and they are like distractors. So instead of you saving towards something, you're always having to give them money because they never could control their finances. Instead of you being busy with something else, you always have to be there to hold them up, because they never listen and they just put themselves into situations. And oftentimes these people do not listen. They do not listen. So they upset your flow. So they can upset your flow and cause you not to focus on your own goals. So you have to start thinking about the people that you have in your life and where they are at. Now, this is where it gets even more critical. That the thing is, there are different levels of friendships, right? So you have the close friends that you will tell your dreams and your goals to. And then you have associates and acquaintances. So you have to learn to put people in brackets. So you don't have to, throw them off, but you know that they are not good for you in the sense of being close friendships. So it may be that you might just have to keep them at bay. And the less interaction is the better. And sometimes people see this as you being selfish and playing that you are better than them. But the thing is, at the end of the day, if you're not going anywhere and I'm going somewhere, why do you think that you have the right to keep me back? Why do you think that I don't have the right to choose what kind of friendships that I need? So we have to be respectful of people's choices, so that if sometimes you're just not compatible. You're just not compatible, because I for one believe that friendship to the point of intimacy, whether it's a close friend, it doesn't have to be sexual, but friendship to a point where you have this person as a very good friend must be in the respect of your goals and also your values. So the Bible asks you this question: can two walk along unless they agree? Something to that effect, right? So can you really be that level of friends if you do not agree in terms of your compatibility, your goals, your dreams, your standards, your values? How far will you get? So it upsets your flow. So when you meet people and you introduce and you bring people and they introduce themselves into your lives, or you introduce yourself into their lives, one of the things that you need to learn to do is to get to know what are their goals, what are their dreams, what drives them, what's their background, where are they coming from, and see whether or not they share the same principles like you do, whether it's kindness, it's charity, it's honesty, it's integrity. These standards, whatever standards you have. Now, everybody do not have the same standards, and sometimes it's not perfect, but what are the common ground? Can you agree? Can you walk along and agree even in times when there is conflict? Is the main foundation there? You have to ask yourself that, right? So because another point is that I said because you waste more time running after them more than you do then let me read this again. So the wrong people can upset your flow, right? Because you do not focus on your goals. You're distracted, and because you waste more time running after them. So sometimes you're running after them and instead of checking for the resources that you need, you are busy running after these people. And sometimes these people are the people who drain you, and they are the same ones to bring you down. They are the same ones to bring you down. They are like vampires. The same ones to bring you down. So you have to be careful, because it doesn't matter how nice you are. Sometimes the very people, and most times, it is your friends. It is your friends that cause you the most pain and betrayal. That's just the reality of life. And it is your friends, sometimes for jealousy and envy, that will turn against you. And that is one of the reasons why I go back to the point of goals and compatibility. Because if you're heading somewhere and you have a friend that is not heading in the same direction as you, that friend can become envious. So because of envy and dislike for where you're going, it's not that they hate you, but they dislike where you are going. So because, hi Michelle, how are you doing? So because of where you're going, they don't hate you, but they hate where you're going, because guess what? They do not have the drive to go where you're going. And sometimes you're trying to pull them along, but you realize you can only pull a person so long. You cannot pull them all the way, because inside they are not there yet. So sometimes you have to leave these people along the way. It's not that you hate them or there's anything. Don't take it personally. Just leave people along the way and move on to your goals, because in the end, you are accountable for how you would have lived your life. And we all have a personal journey to travel. So you look at the principles, and this is where your spirituality as well comes in, because one of the things that you need in order to discern in terms of friendships is your discernment. You need to be able to read people and their intentions, and that's where your spirituality comes in. And discernment is a gift from God. And so when you are around people, you listen to them talk, sometimes they don't even know it, but you're realizing that they are no good for you. I just realized that they're no good for you. And so you have to be discerning enough to put a limit, especially when they are very pushy. Sometimes when you see people coming in all hot and ready and very pushy, you have to put a break on it, because it's not about you not wanting to offend them. It's about you knowing that you need to have stable people in your life. And so just because somebody's trying to push themselves into your life doesn't mean that you have to allow them into your life. You set the pace, because you are the CEO of your life. And if you're going to hire somebody, you want to make sure that you hire the best, because these are people that you're going to have around you, right? So you need somebody who is God-fearing, if you are God-fearing. If you are not God-fearing, then you choose somebody that aligns with you. So it's always about choosing somebody who aligns with you, your beliefs and all of that. Because you don't have no time to be arguing unnecessarily with people regarding certain things. You are busy and you have a lot of things on your hands to do. And somebody who doesn't want to change you, somebody who is not who doesn't want to change you, but is willing to grow with you. So if you are gonna choose friendships where people wanting to change you and not accept you for who you are, then that's not going to work. Somewhere along the line, you're gonna poison yourself and you're gonna lose your self-esteem and even your self-worth trying to change yourself for somebody who couldn't accept you as you are. And accepting you as you are doesn't mean that they have to accept every flaw that you have. But the thing is that do they like you at the basics? Do they appreciate you for who you are? Because we always change. We are evolving. Most of us are evolving. There's some people, some attitudes are hard to change, but for the most part, people do not always stay the same. They evolve. They change. And so, is this person willing to grow with you? Do they see you beyond the insecurities and all of that? Because many times all of us, we come with insecurities and then people are expecting us to be perfect. But we are not perfect. We all come with baggages. We come with hurt, pain, disappointment, distrust, and all of that. But are they willing to grow with you and to heal with you? Because these are the friendships that will count in the long run. Not people who are trying to make you perfect and put together. Nobody is put together. No one of us is put together. We all have our flaws. All right? And so sometimes when we have these people in our lives, we are afraid to express ourselves because we are afraid that they will reject us. Sometimes it's already too late when you find yourself in friendships with people who do not really appreciate you. And instead of speaking up, we are afraid to speak because we are afraid of rejection. We are afraid to tell them that we do not like what they are doing. We are afraid to express our feelings when they hurt us because we are afraid that they are going to leave us high and dry. And so in these situations, we stay too long. So our fear of rejection will keep us in relationships, in friendships for too long. Because we are so afraid, we're lacking in self-confidence, our self-esteem and our self-worth often is not intact. And so we just want to hold on to these people and they are no good for us. And so instead of standing up for ourselves, we allow them to use us and abuse us. We allow these people to use us and abuse us. Something that we need to do, and so you ask the question, with all of these problems, what do I do? You must be willing to walk away. You must be willing to walk away if someone kept shunning you or taking advantage of you. It's gonna hurt, but you must be willing to walk away. You must be able to reflect on yourself and try to find where this kind of fear of rejection is coming from. And many times it goes way back into experiences that we've had in the past and even in our childhood. So sometimes we have to reflect and go right back to the beginning. Look back in your childhood and to see what exactly has happened. Why is it that now that instead of you appreciating yourself and loving yourself, why is it that you are willing to let people walk all over you? So you have to go back. I've been there, so I know you must go back. And then when you love yourself, when you finally accept that you do not love yourself, and when you finally be brave and courageous enough to say, this is it, that I am going to love myself first, to the point that anyone who tries to use me and abuse me, they will only get one chance to do so. One chance to do so. So that you don't just run into people's lives without getting to know them, and and even while you're knowing them, if you realize that they've been pretending and they're not who they said they were, then you know you must be willing to walk away. You know that you must be willing to walk away. Sometimes it's painful. And sometimes your heart is breaking while you're doing it because you're in pieces, because you cannot see your life without that friendship. But you must get to the point where you do not tolerate anyone abusing or using you. Maybe later on, you can even be friends with these people without even feeling any hatred and all of that. Because many times we are bitter and we are hateful, but you have to get rid of all of that too. So you have to forgive these people, because some part of it is your responsibility to protect yourself. So yes, you might say, oh, but they forced themselves into my life. But what about you? Did you allow them in? And why? So you must be able to do that. Because many the thing is it giving such a person, always giving them does not make him or her love you more. If they do not have a conscience, they will just keep sucking you dry. So you will say, but why do these people do this, and why can't they just tell me how they feel and go about their business? No. Gone are the days when you should wait on people to tell you how they feel. You need to look at people's actions. If they are saying one thing and they are doing another, and the another that they are doing does not align with what they're saying, you must be able to say, well, you know what, this is not genuine. Many times we want closure, we want people to tell us how they feel, and they're showing you. Because sometimes they're not brave enough to tell you how they feel, but they will always show you how they feel. People will always show you how they feel. You have to be observant, look at the behavior pattern and whether or not it is consistent. Because I know and you know how you act when you appreciate people. You know that when you appreciate people, you're there for them most of the time. Most of the time, because sometimes we mess up, right? And you know that if you care for someone, that you do not just wait for them to ask you for something. When you see they are in need, you give to them. So you know these things. You know that when you care for someone, you encourage them. And when you see them doing something wrong, that you speak to them. You know the things that you do when you love someone, when you appreciate someone. And so the things that you do, it doesn't change across the board. That's how we are when we love. Our actions are driven by how we feel about people. So just bear that in mind. So being nice, sometimes you have to resist being too nice too often. So just because you have a friend and they always needing something doesn't mean every time they need something that you have to give them. You don't have to you do not have to give them every time. And if they get mad with you because you fail them one day, they are not your friend. Because and I learned this and I learned it well. So sometimes our friends will disappoint us. But do you get angry with them for disappointing you? They're always handing to you, always giving you. And then one day they decide, and one day they fall short, and you're just upset with them because they fall short one day, but you never even ask, how are you doing? You never even try to see maybe something is up with this person, because you're so you're so into how you are feeling that you cannot even ask that person, how are you doing? Because let me tell you, see, when you're nice, most of the time you're the one who is trying to be strong. And sometimes you are in pain enough. Sometimes you are going through hell. And sometimes you're so fearful to reach out and ask for help. But the nicest persons are always the ones who are afraid to ask for help when they need help. They will beat around the bush and try everything else before they beg and ask for a favor. That's how nice people are. We are always there most of the time, but when we need help, and you know what? Most times when we need help, strangers help us. Strangers help us most times when we need help. The people that we help sometimes, they're not even there to try with you. They're not even there to try with you. And sometimes they come back and they tell you that they never asked you, they never begged you. And this is not just about intimate relationship in terms of man-woman thing. This is about even family. This is about friend. This is about anyone who is in your life. Because sometimes your own will be like that. And then they wonder why you're so nice to strangers. Sometimes these people say, oh, but they're nicer to strangers than me. Why? Because strangers, people who don't know you often, are kinder to you than the people who you expect to be kind to you. And just remember this, that sooner or later, if somebody doesn't mean well for you, you will find out. They can pretend as long as they need what you constantly keep giving them. So they'll pretend. As long as they need you, they will pretend. And sometimes when you catch them in a kind of spot, and you kind of like question them, they will when they slip up, they will pretend and say, oh, you're thin skin, and you're sensitive, and you're easy to vex. Sometimes they make you feel guilty, like if you're the one who did them wrong. Yep. Nice people, being nice. So I am a firm believer in doing right by others. So I really believe in doing right by others. But I am also a believer that you must not let others use you. So I believe that you should do right by others, but I also believe that I can be your worst nightmare too. Because if you keep using me, I'm not gonna always be nice. The nicest people can be the most dangerous, believe me. And nobody wants to see that side in me when I get like that. I'm very, very cool, very nice. But when you see ungratefulness, sometimes you don't even want anything, just even a thanks. But you see when people want to slap it back in your face, when you're nice to them and they want to come and give you some like real ungrateful talk, listen, I will wash my hands of you. And I wouldn't hate you, but I'll wash my hands of you. And the one of the things I also want to say, that just because we are not bosom buddies, just because I always remember kindness, right? So I'm the kind of person that even if I'm no longer that kind of friend with you, I remember kindness. And I'm the kind of person that if you're in trouble and you call me, even if I haven't heard from you for 10 donkey years, I can really go out to help you. That's the kind of person I am. So I wouldn't say, well, oh, I haven't heard from you in 10 years, so what makes you? You know, I can go out of my way to help you. But I also look at how you behave if I cannot help you. I had one person block me on Facebook. Somebody who I would have been, you know, friends with, would have assisted. But then that person decided to block me on Facebook because they asked something of me and I told them no. So I wasn't able to fulfill one of their needs and they blocked me on Facebook. And I am good at pretending, you know. Because I will know you do what you do and still pretend. You know why? Because if you can deal with me like that, you can block me because I didn't fulfill one of your needs. Then I don't need to ask you why you blocked me. I don't need to meet you and ask you why you blocked me. I could just pretend that I never even noticed. That's just me. You understand? I could be just like that. I'm a person, I observe. I don't hate on people, but I tell you, I look at people's behavior and I am very perceptive. And that's just me. I've been down the road of being used, and I'm at the point where I'm too old for that. And I do not tolerate it, and I would not encourage anyone to tolerate abuse. Now that's my talk. So now I'm gonna respond to some of the comments here, because what I like to say what I have to say, because then when I do that, then it keeps me on a train of thought. All right, so I'm gonna go all the way back up to the top, and I'm gonna see what the comments are, and I'm gonna respond to these comments. So good afternoon again, everybody. So Leslie Pitt says sometimes all we need is a shift in our mindset in relation to the relationship in question. Dr. Stephen Covey mentioned this in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Yes, that's definitely it. You have to shift your mindset. So you cannot, I mean, it's a give and take. So it's not about you always expecting from the other person, and it's a give and take. And it's not about you being mad with the person. And even if you're mad for a time, like I just blocked one of my best friends just recently. I'm talking to him, and he was all preoccupied, and I was like, you didn't even hear what I said. And he was like telling me something he was telling me he don't have time for whatever. And so I ended the conversation, and I went about my business. And then he's trying to text me now that I ended the call. I ended the call because, okay, you don't have time for this. You don't have time for this. So I ended the call. No, I ended the call. No, he's calling me. This is somebody I've known for years. We are friends, just friends. And he's calling me now. And I'm like, I'm going to block his ass. I blocked him. I blocked him then. But honestly speaking, even after blocking him, it's not like I'm hating him. When I'm ready, I'll unblock him and we'll have a conversation. That's friendship. Yeah? But I don't have any hatred or any envy in my heart for him. But he would have messaged me and he's telling me, unblock he. I'm not when I'm ready, because he wasn't ready when I was ready, so he gotta wait. And it's all good. I don't keep malice for that. All right, so Wesley Edwards said, hon, I couldn't agree with you more. And some people need to hear this message. Well, it will fit whoever needs to hear it, because sometimes we try to avoid the real truth. We see it blaring and glaring in our face, and we just don't want to accept the truth that this person does not appreciate us. This person doesn't love us. This person is just pretending. Sometimes it's hard for us to sink that in. And it's not that they're bad people. It's just that they don't appreciate you. And so you got to let go. It's not that they're a bad person. Don't get me wrong. They're just not for you. When Hola, you got to learn to trust people. I learn about them and do what? Well, of course, I'll trust you to an extent, because of course when I meet you, I have to trust you to a degree. But as I get to know you, I will decide if I trust you more or I trust you less. And if my trust for you is getting less as I get to know you more, of course we can't be friends, because friendship without trust is not friendship. If you have to watch your back and wonder when this person is gonna stab you in the back, if they're gonna be a traitor on you, then it's not healthy. So you don't need that. You don't need that kind of friendship. Let me move on here now and see who else has said something. Leslie Spears said, yes, my dear friend, I call it dynamic shift. It is a shift. So you have to balance it. Winfield Tanis Abbott says, brilliant. Erica Carr said, great advice. Robbie Benjamin said, great advice. Ronette say, oh my God, did God send you this afternoon? You're on point. Ronette, this has been on my mind for a while. It's just that sometimes I move with the spirit, and I was just not in the mood to really do a live, because sometimes when you're in a certain mood, you don't wanna give off that vibe. And when I come here, I like to give off a vibe that is positive. So even when I'm saying may not really be your cup of tea, at the end of the day, this is for people who are in this situation. So and that's just it. Sometimes we have to hear it from other people. We know it, but when we hear it, it gets in there deep, and then we realize how we gotta do something. We gotta do something. Winfield said, oh, on point, well said. Michelle said, it's like every message and live I am watching this today speak of this. God bless you. God bless you too, my dear. If it's speaking of this and it connects with you, it's time to do some reflection, because going forward in this whole COVID drama that's going on, you need people who are not only gonna expect that you give, but people who are gonna be there for you. And oftentimes you don't even need money. What you need is that moral support. Somebody who's gonna say, "Oh God, you're having a bad day, and you can talk to me," without pretending that you're okay. Because as much as people see me here, "Oh, you always look happy." It's not that I'm always happy. There are times when I get depressed too, but I don't allow chronic depression, because I really believe that if you allow yourself to be chronically depressed, then that it's hard to get out of that rut. So while I may get depressed sometimes, is that I have things that I do. I have strategies that I use to pump me up. And so that's another thing. Besides walking away, besides setting boundaries, you must have a few go-to strategies that will help you deal with times when you are not appreciated by the people that you want to appreciate you. So what are your go-to strategies? For me, it's listening something motivational. It's sometimes listening, diverting myself. I love writing, but I haven't written much in the for a little while, because I'm more busy with teaching. And for this whole vacation that I've had, for me, I just started doing morning walks. So I walk almost every morning for 25 to 30 minutes. And in this time, I admire nature. I talk to God. I'm listening some scripture. I'm listening music. I'm doing something, because then it helps me cope with the stress. So what are you doing? Things that I do: I call up a friend. I may chat. I may read some Facebook posts, and I may laugh. And sometimes I reach out to others as well, because sometimes reaching out to others who are less fortunate than you can actually make you feel better. Because sometimes when you're hurting, and sometimes when you're depressed, you just need to look at somebody else who is going through more than you are going through, and that pokes you, because you know that at the end of the day, you're not alone, and there is somebody else who needs more than you, somebody who needs some more support more than you, and you're able to give, and so you become appreciative. Another thing that I do, I try to always be grateful. So I may complain sometimes, but sometimes I'll catch myself and say, "Ophelia, you really shouldn't be complaining. You need to give God thanks, because it could be worse." Right? There are people who have lost their job. There are people in other, and another thing that I do too is sometimes I find people that I can offer to, who are not my friends. I find people I can offer something to, because I know their situation and they don't even have to ask me. I'll just bless them. So these are things that I do, because at the end of the day, it's not about being selfish. Even if you may be used by people in your life, at the end of the day, you cannot go around bitter with a chip on your shoulder and treating everybody the same way. So you still have to be kind, but you must put a limit to your kindness for those people who always want to use you. And to realize that you can't make them love you. Right? You can't make them love you or appreciate you. So Thomas Johnson said there should be no lines in a serious relationship. I don't know what you're talking about, lines. Because the thing about it is that if you are in a relationship and you're the only one serious, then you're in trouble. So a relationship is a mechanism. It's like, okay, so you go to the store, you have your part to play, the store owner has the part to play. You can't just go in the store and take up something and walk out with it, because you have a responsibility in that relation, that exchange, right? So it's the same thing with relationships. So you can't say that there are no lines. There must be a line when you see somebody using you. You have to put lines. You cannot allow people, because if you say no lines, there's no guarantee that the other person is going to feel like you do. So if you get somebody who feels like you do, whose general principles are the same, and they are appreciative of you, then you're in good hands. But then if you have somebody who you're giving your all to, and they are not appreciative of it, and they're not even one time able to consider you, you have to put lines. As a matter of fact, the only line you should put is a big X, meaning you walking out. That's it. That's it. That's just it for me. That's it. But everybody has their own thinking on this, and for our reason, you can think what you wanna think. Ronald Henry says there is usually something that they are hanging on for, but you are correct. People will always show. Yes, there's always something, because we all want something out of a relationship, right? We are all looking for something out of a relationship. As I said before, a relationship, you don't just, decide to have a relationship with somebody without needing anything out of it. But what is it that you need, and what is the agenda behind your need? Do you have a genuine appreciation and love for this person? Do you want to make this person's life, the experiences better? What's driving the need behind what you want? Because whatever your agenda is, that's gonna determine the kind of relationship you have with the person. All right. So my sister Fedjmaya says, so true, sis. They say givers should have limits because takers have none, and that's it. You have to. You have to have some limits, because if you do not, you're gonna be used by the wrong people. Because oftentimes the people who you don't give are the people who will be supportive of you. And the people who you give, is not that you're giving to get back, but you will expect some kind of moral support or some appreciation. And sometimes they don't even have that to give you, because they're busy leeching you out from whatever, and they're so selfish sometimes they don't even see it. So it all depends. So I said, and another thing I always say is that you always give what you can afford to lose. Just give what you can afford to lose. Because when that friendship goes bad and you're wanting back what you gave to them, you're not gonna get it. So always give what you can afford to lose. Always just give what you can. You know you can't afford to lose $5,000. Don't go lending somebody $5,000. And you can't afford to do that. So sometimes when I loan, sometimes I rather give than lend people, because when I lend you, I expect you to give it back to me. So I'll prefer to give you if I have it than to say I'm lending you. If I lend it to you and I say you could give me back whenever, most likely you would never give me back, and I'm cool with that. But if I lend it to you and I say I need it back in 2 weeks, and you don't give me, and you promise to give me in 2 weeks, and you don't say anything about it, but instead of that you keeping me malice and you living your life, I'm going to have a problem with that. I wouldn't tell you anything, but I ain't going to be associating with you because you're dishonest in your dealings. Now, if you promise to give it back to me and something happens and you're not able to do so, then you must communicate with me. Communicate with me, because I am understanding. All right? All right, so let me see what else. Michelle says, Shonda Evan Parsons, my friend, is a very good person to feature on a Saturday. Okay. I don't even know how to do this feature thing. I don't even know. But I'll keep that in mind. I haven't been so dedicated to my live videos for whatever reason, Michelle. Thanks for that suggestion. I'll keep that in mind. It's good when like minds come together. Ronald Henry says, absolutely. They turn it around and become the victim. Yep. Dublin says, so on point. Ronette says, we are aligned in so many ways. I hope we get to meet. But Ronette Henry, I've met you so many times in person. You just don't remember. You were much younger then, my dear. But and I was much younger too. We've met. I know your mom and your dad pretty good, and as a matter of fact, they always have a smile on their face whenever they see me. Always encourage me, even as a teenager growing up. They always encourage me. Michelle says maturity, and that's it. You have to reach to that point. You have to reach to the point where you start to reflect and accept. Sometimes it's hard to accept that you have been making a mess of things, but it's never too late to start. And sometimes you tell yourself that you get it, and then something else happens, and then you realize that you don't really get it. right? You don't really get it, but you have to keep trying. Daniel Mason says read the same book. Definitely, my dear. Alright, who else is here? Audrey Gitton say, girl, we truly have the same genes. Definitely, my dear. Let me see what's going on here. Audrey says, when you lend them, they do not give back, but get upset if you ask for your thing back. True. True. Stanford said, hi, my dear. Good afternoon. And Ronette says, I should say meet again in person. I know you will. Exactly. So, guys, that's my input for today. In terms of friendships, you have to start to examine your friendships. It doesn't mean that you will hate the people, because sometimes people are who they are. But at the same time, you letting them go is not that you hate them. It's just that you realize that you are at different places in your life. And sometimes you think about them and you care about them. And if they're in trouble, you will be there to help them. But it's just that sometimes you have to draw the lines and set some boundaries. Because at the end of the day, our friendships affect us in so many ways. You're just not gonna get the kind of life if you have friendships that are not you're not growing. If you're not growing, even whether it's intimate or otherwise, because and that is the reason why I always look at it and I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? I need to know your goals. And I need to see what you're doing in your life, and I need to know what you're about. And I also look at how you treat other people, because when you treat other people in a certain way, don't expect me to believe that at some point when we are not on terms, that you may very well treat me the same way. So I look at your attitudes and I make my judgments of that. Some people are just not worth putting in your life to that extent, honestly speaking. Dr. Scott, it's been good reuniting with you. I've been having so many thoughts of Cayman Brack. I just want to come back, but I don't know if I'll be doing that anytime soon with what's happening. But my friend Dr. Scott is hailing me from all the way in Cayman Brack. How are you, Dorcas? So true, in any relationship, one should feel wanted, but when you only feel needed, it's convenience. This isn't real love. So if you're only needed for their convenience, definitely not love. It's making a difference does not matter and builds a bond in any relationship, but not being used. So definitely, so making a difference in the person's life. And one of the things I want to challenge people here to do is to always give of your best. Always give of your best in any relationship that you find yourself in, so that if you give of your best and it's not appreciated, you would have tried your best. Because I always say I have a repetition, right? And I'm growing and I'm trying to maintain, and so I try to do my best. So if I don't love you, there are instances when you might have somebody coming on to you. And this is something that a lot of men especially, and some women face. It's like you might have somebody coming on to you and then you're giving them things. I always say I don't want to accept things from you that are of value if I realize that you have interest in me in a way that I cannot give back to you. So some people might see it as okay, ignoring them, but I always say I rather cut the connections if I see you're getting close to me in a way and I tell you, well, I'm not interested in you, and you're trying to give me stuff, because sometimes we do that. We keep giving stuff to people who do not like us in that way. You don't need to give anybody any stuff. If they love you, they will love you of their own accord without you giving them anything. You just don't need to. You don't need to. Sometimes people are handing things for people, and then some people are in a thing. They say, okay, well, I never asked him, I never asked her, so I'm gonna take it. But you know fully well that the reason why the person is giving is because they have some motive. They want to be in a relationship with you. but you're still taking, and I think that it is wrong. I think you need to at least let the person know that you're not interested in them. And if they are offering you things that you consider to be of high value, so they're giving you gold chain and gold ring and all of that, I ain't want that. They might give you $5. The $5 mightn't be nothing so to think about, but they might want to offer you 200. And then you're telling yourself, well, he giving me 200, what are his intentions? So if I make myself clear to you and I see that you're not about that, and I need it and I take it, fine, because sometimes people are in those desperate situations. But I'm saying that don't go out deliberately to use people. At least tell them how you feel, so that you're not trying to lead them on and pretending that you love them just so that you can get what you want out of them. It's best you tell them what they feel, because I think at the end of the day, if you do that, it's better than to encourage them by taking what they have, and then in the end that they are feeling like if they are, you're obligated to them. So you have to draw your limits with that. So guys, that's been my live. I'm not gonna stay any longer with this live. I hope that I can come on again more frequently. I go back to work from next week, Monday, God's willing. I don't know how it's gonna be, but I'll see how it goes. So whatever you do, have a blessed weekend, and thanks for the very interactive posts. I appreciate that. And at the end of the day, just reflect on your life and know what you want for yourself, and don't let anybody decide what you want for you. You have to set the kind of goals that you need for yourself. And if you are experiencing a painful situation right now, take time out and do some reflection. If the person is willing to let you go and you're wanting to hold on, it may be time for you to really just let it go for a while. Sometimes people do reconnect, and sometimes they just don't, and it's just life, and sometimes we just have to try not to see them as valiants, but as, you know, they just don't want us, and that's just it. And try not to hate, you know, hate and all of that. Just let it go. Just let it go. All right. So Daniel Mason say thanks for sharing. You're welcome, guys. I'm out of here. Thank you very much, and please remember to share the live if you think that it will be of a blessing to somebody else. All right. Bye.